2 weeks down, give a general assessment of where you feel like you're at in terms of installing everything, and sort of, are you looking towards that first game yet, or are you still deep in install?
Still in install mode. I mean, we're pretty much through, I guess, with the bulk of all installation. And now it's down kind of your specialty stuff, game-ending situations, end of half, end of game, all the scenarios. It's funny when you look out there, we got a bunch of guys that haven't, a lot of them that haven't played college football before, and then a bunch of them that haven't played here. And so just reaffirming their knowledge in rules and regulations at this level and that kind of stuff is something that we have to hammer even a little bit more than normal. But our effort level has been really good. Our execution has not been where we want it to be, which is that happens this time of year. And once we get into game mode, which won't be until late next week, we'll really start refining things.
Any position groups where that execution needs to come up a little more for your liking?
Everywhere. You're kind of in that part of fall camp where the young guys, they learn a few things, and then they think they know it, and then they do something wrong, and then they forget it, and then they forget what they already knew, and it gets a little fouled up, and then confidence levels vary. But yeah, we can certainly improve everywhere.
You talked about the first week. Everyone did, about how it was being sink or swim. Everyone's just kind of running around there, the young guys. Anyone with the light bulb flipped on the second week more so than most?
Oh, there's been a bunch of people, and that's the majority of guys. I think there's a couple guys that showed up with I'm going to redshirt mentality, and that's not what we want. And it's just hard at this point to keep competing and still feeling like you're going to have any chance to play. And a couple of them I think would have had a chance to play, but that's just why we just hammer that mindset when they come in of hit the ground, full speed ahead, and go, and we'll sort it out later. But by and large, it's been excellent.
Who's worked on themselves into the category of not redshirting? Do you have some guys in mind?
Well, there's several guys in mind that still hasn't totally been decided yet. Obviously, Tanner Curry is a position that we have a need for. We anticipate him. He's done a really nice job. And then there's a bunch of guys on both sides of the ball, whether we're talking about Royce Freeman, Charles Nelson, Jalen Brown, Tyrell Crosby, Jimmy Swain on defense, Khalil Oliver, Austin Malawata. I'm going to forget somebody and they'll be mad at me, but that's their or my problem. But we haven't made a final end-all, be-all decision on any of those guys yet.
Mark, you're 2 weeks in. What kinds of things do you want to see the improvement in these next 2 weeks? What areas?
Better execution, just sharper execution, and that comes with pointing toward a game. We have every bit of offense and every bit of defense, almost not totally, but almost, that will have the entire season in right now. And so when you have that much stuff and it's new guys learning it, maybe they've run it once against one look or one coverage, and then it changes. There's going to be less than ideal level of execution, and so just cleaning all that stuff up.
Are some of those freshmen pretty far behind in that
No. I think our freshmen are way ahead in that regard, and it's more a byproduct of, at this point you have way more in than you could game plan for the season. I mean, literally. And now we just, we always say it's like a toolbox. You're going to pull out, your tools as we go along. And right now they have a huge overloaded toolbox, and they drop a hammer occasionally.
What about the battle in the secondary? Who's been jumping out at you that's impressed you so far?
Several guys. That's going to be there's going to be a lot of tough decisions on the back end. Jawan Williams has really played well of late. Tyree Robinson has done some good things. Reggie Daniels has done some good things, both defensively and on special teams. And then all those young guys have showed up at various times. Sometimes glaringly in a good way, and sometimes glaringly in a way that we need to correct. But a lot of young talent, just unproven.
What do you think about Arian so far?
Love him. He's going to be a really good player. It's just a matter again of that spot. You just need a ton of reps in our system, and seeing route combinations, seeing formations, getting that whole just spatial awareness thing down in multiple coverages, and so far so good.
Devin Allen showing his part last week's in camp. Devin Allen?
He's been awesome. He's been Devin has been awesome. I mean, tough, smart, great competitor, and has been a playmaker with the ball in his hands as well. And yeah, we were talking about him last night. He's been great. Special teams has been awesome. The first two guys to jump in on a scout team special team today were Devin Allen and Kean Lowe. And I was grabbing a couple of the young guys and going, hey, that's what it's all about right there. Those guys, all they do is run. I mean, literally all they do is run all day long. And they're the first two guys lined up for a special teams drill to be on the scout team. And that's just a huge statement about them and about what we want, our culture to look like and feel like.
What was your level of involvement with the change to pay the premiums for these guys' families?
Mm-hmm.
How involved were you? Was that something you pushed for when you found out? Or even before you found out, can we investigate this? Can we look at this?
Yeah, that's something that we were kind of always told that wasn't allowed. And that kind of went back to, I can't remember who that went back to, but basically we were kind of told that if the beneficiary, or whatever the right word is, the beneficiary was the student athlete, that's not legal. And so when that came up, absolutely, we wanted to find a way to be able to pay for not just one person, but everybody. And I've heard about that at other places where they're paying for one person. That seems very difficult to me. But anything that we can legally do to help our guys out and help their families out, especially in that kind of circumstance, all the better.
And one more question. We've got Coach Frost here.
Is that something that you think will be the next kind of recruiting landscape? Hey, we could possibly, if you want to stay, we could possibly insure you and keep you in school. Do you think some schools will use that as a recruiting tactic going forward?
That's possible. I mean, I think that whole, with the kind of the movement toward deregulation, it's going to be very interesting where all this stuff ends. There's a giant Pandora's box is going to be opened, and we'll see where it ends up.
Thanks, Mark.